Well, I tell you something, hot summer nights and Celtic defending a narrow lead in Europe away from home isn't a good combination. I'm absolutely sweating. I'm genuinely roasting. I'm sweating, partially down to the hot weather we're having at the moment, probably mainly down to just how nerve-wracking that was. David, it's going to be a funny kind of reaction to do because I just feel, I'm so ecstatic, but I just feel so drained of everything.
It was crazy, honestly, absolutely crazy. I don't think many of us after the second goal flew in, bundled in for Alkmaar that we thought we'd be going through. I had visions of 4-1, 5-1. I thought we would crumble. To their credit, for the majority of the second half, I thought they defended relatively well. I thought they struggled having next to no midfield in the second half. I
Yeah.
thought the midfield were shocking, by the way. Absolutely. Well, yeah, every one of them, I would say, Hamish. Thought it was a really poor performance in the central area. Far too many turnovers coming for just poor passing or just running into opposition players. It was only really after the substitution was made to bring on Odsonne Edouard that things started to turn just a bit. But I thought the centre-backs, to their credit, and I
Yep.
know we'll go on to Starfall, the centre-backs, to their credit, defended well in the second half and we're through. It's a great result, to be honest. We spoke after the first leg and said, listen, this is going to be some match. It's going to be a really tough challenge for Postecoglou and the team. Alkmaar will create chances. It's going to be difficult. We can't turn around after conceding those chances and start crying about it. We've got through the tie. I think we showed some solidity on the night. Scored a very good goal, and I think we have to try and focus on the positives tonight. It's a good result and it's progress.
It definitely is. It was progress 5 years ago when we put out Hapoel Beersheva in the Champions League playoff round. It was progress a year later when we put out Astana. Similar feelings, especially the one against the Israeli side compared to tonight. I don't know if that's just because Alkmaar quite literally had the same kit with the red shirts, the white shorts and the white socks, and Celtic were wearing a dark colour. The stadiums even looked quite similar, comparing tonight to when we played in Israel. And the games panned out in a very similar way. I know we scored tonight, whereas we didn't over in Israel 5 years ago. But just having the inevitability or the seeming inevitability that we weren't going to go through tonight, and time just kind of ticked on.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt, but you suddenly looked at the clock and you went, wow, 70 minutes? We've only got 20 minutes to go here. And then obviously you knew the onslaught was coming. To be fair, it didn't really arrive. They created one chance. It was a massive chance, which had to be a goal. But I think you're right. We'll talk about the negatives, David, and I'll let you come in just a wee second, but I think it's important that we pick out the positives. It's Starfelt and Welsh for me, and especially Montgomery and Ralston as well, and even Joe Hart, players who made mistakes in the first half, stood up second half.
100%. Thought Welsh was terrific, absolutely terrific. Another superb performance at a level we haven't really seen him operate efficiently at, I would say. It was all right performing against AZ in Celtic Park, but going away to Holland and doing the business in front of what was quite a hostile crowd, fair play to him. Ralston, I thought, made some pretty poor errors for me in the first half, but again, he's another one that recovered and put in a really good shift in the second 45. You saw Alkmaar consistently try to overload down both flanks with long diagonal balls, and he was so alert to everything that came his way. And I thought the back line, they did stand up to the challenge. Obviously, that the night's probably going to be overshadowed by the fact that we made two horrendous mistakes. But if you're actually looking at how often AZ cut Celtic open, you can't really say that they were consistent in doing that throughout the match. I don't think you can, Hamish. I think you can say they managed to nick possession off us far too easily on more than one occasion. But how we stood up to that as a back line after those turnovers, I thought was impressive. I don't think Hart had too many difficult stops to make tonight. One or two come to mind. That's about it. So I do think defensively, it's a better performance than what it will be perceived to be.
It was a good side we were up against as well. I tweeted about 10 minutes ago saying, for me, Alkmaar are the best side we've faced in qualification for any UEFA competition in the last decade. I don't think there's a team that even comes close to to Alkmaar's level in terms of, finishing third, a point behind PSV in the Dutch Eredivisie last season. They've got Swedish internationals, Dutch internationals, a Japanese international in their team. It's a team that would very much be competing for the title in Scotland if they played here. And we went into that tie not in a good place in terms of being on a decent run of form, but in terms of the overall picture, this is still a Celtic team that is in its infancy. It's still a team that's kind of, you get the impression it's stuck together with sellotape a little bit at the moment, and we came through it, and that is all that matters. I think you're right. I think tonight will be remembered for the howlers. We know how football Twitter and football Facebook work nowadays. Things are shared, and people will probably have a wee laugh down south at the Joe Hart mistake and at the Starfelt defending up here. But what they won't realise from the second half is that both players stood up after their mistakes. It would have been easy for both of them to crumble, and I thought at the end we looked relatively comfortable apart from that one chance. It's a major achievement for me. I keep going back to 2016 in Beersheva. I just think there's so many similarities with tonight. A team in its first summer under a new manager, a team being rebuilt from a failure the previous season. And when we look back at Beersheva now, we don't really remember the howlers really. We remember the fact that Celtic came through that tie and what the team went on to do after that. And I think after tonight, I honestly think we will look back in a similar way tonight. The team could easily have buckled. The manager could have buckled when we went down, 2-1 tonight. But we stayed strong and we got through that tie in the end against, as I repeat, a very, very good side. Put it this way, there's worse teams in Alkmaar will play in the Champions League this season.
Well, they're a much better side than Beersheva, where the tie you keep mentioning too. And another couple of things, Ange always talks about the fact he's working with quite a small core group of players. I think tonight was a 10th competitive game of the season. Alkmaar were given the weekend off, by the way. They had a full week to prepare for this. They're not tiring. In fact, they were raring to go tonight. Looked in peak fitness condition. There's a reason I think they ended the game stronger. And we've managed to overcome all that and get through to the next round. It's an impressive result tonight, Hamish. I actually had a sneaky feeling we were going to go out. I'm quite a pessimist anyway at the best of times, but I did think, I had a horrible feeling, because so often we've seen Celtic go away to difficult venues in Europe and just capitulate like that. And this looked so tough on paper, going to the Netherlands. We had a 2-goal lead. That's not as big a lead as it comes across at times, by the way. 1 goal and you're up against it.
Especially with no away goals.
Yeah, with no away goals. So exactly that tie would have been put to bed last season in the first minute. So they've come through all these obstacles. They've gotten through the tie. I don't want to sit here and continuously speak about a couple of defensive mistakes when those two players put in some really good performances in the second half to help get us through. Yes, they made mistakes. None more so than when a striker misses a sitter, by the way. So I think you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's not hound them out for their mistakes and realise that they did actually manage to do a bit of a job for us in the second half. We've got a massive game on Sunday. I don't think calling players out is a good thing to do at the minute.
And listen, the team will be absolutely buzzing on that plane back tonight or in the morning, whenever they go back. They'll be absolutely buzzing. And
you saw it full time.
For the game on Sunday. I didn't actually, David, because I was too busy running about trying to find my laptop and webcam. But I'll take you.
No, they were buzzing. They were buzzing. Aye.
Let's run through some of the major incidents in the game. Then
Go for it.
2 or 3 minutes in, we get the dream start. Just euphoria. This amazing feeling that we've all been feeling over the last 2 or 3 weeks while these home games translates to scoring a second or a third minute goal away from home. It just felt amazing. Brilliant ball from, I think it was Ralston over the top. Abada, first time in, and Kyogo, you never felt he was going to miss that at all, and it wasn't an easy finish for him. The ball was brilliant from Abada, but it was still a tough finish. How many goals those two are going to score this season, combining with each other, Abada and Kyogo, but just a dream start at that stage.
And how often have we seen attacks like that, where the final ball is either far too ahead of the striker or far too behind the striker? It was just perfect from Abada again with his final ball. Not the first time we've seen that from him. He's such a talent, and we always go on about it in every stream. 19 years of age, my goodness, he's going to be absolutely electric. The ball itself was beautiful from Ralston. In fact, really good ball. I don't think he'll get the credit it deserves because it's not really been highlighted. Brilliant ball over the top of the defence, onside as well. And Kyogo's exactly where you want him to be. It was the dream start. I do think we caught them by surprise with that move in particular. I don't think they expect us to come out the blocks like that. But obviously, we didn't hold on to it for too long.
Yeah, because we started kind of nervously as well, I thought, and they looked right on top of us, and that was actually the reason Ralston put it long, I think. I think if it had been, a game where we were more comfortable, he would probably have looked infield to try and play it into a Christie or a Turnbull or a Rogic, but he put it long. We'll give him the credit, because I think he definitely meant it, but, sometimes you just wonder whether he's just putting it into an area rather than picking someone out, but it was a brilliant pass. As I say, you're in dreamland at that stage, but knowing how Celtic play away from home in Europe over, however long we've been supporting the club, inevitably you're going to face setbacks, and we certainly faced some setbacks pretty soon after that. We conceded a calamitous goal when Joe Hart basically... I don't know what he's waiting on. I really don't know what he was waiting on. I could have some sort of witty response, but I don't have that in me. He was abysmal. The fella, comes in front of him and taps it into the empty net. I saw some people calling out Welsh for it. For me, it was just an absolute howler from Joe Hart.
Oh, listen, it's badly dealt with by Welsh to begin with. Let's not kid ourselves there. I don't really know what he was trying. I think he's maybe caught in two minds as to what to do with the ball, whether he's trying to get a touch on it, whether he's trying to actually let it go through to Hart. I don't know. But the Hart thing, and as I said, I don't really want to call it players ahead of Sunday, but if we're going to analyse that moment, you were kind of thinking to yourself, when the ball goes through to him, I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's okay. He's going to deal with it.
He just seemed to wait. I don't know if he didn't see the guy coming or something.
Well, I don't know how. It's right in front of him. I don't know. It was just mind-boggling. Unless he's thinking that he's wanting to play a diagonal down the right flank and he's looking down the right and not seeing to the left. Maybe something like that's happened. I don't know. It was so bemusing. Well, lucky it didn't cost us severely tonight. It was a bad mistake, but he made up for it because I thought he bailed out the defence on a couple of occasions as well. So fair play. He can still hold his head up for me, Hamish, even despite the mistake, because it's one mistake in one football game, and he's a good enough goalkeeper to overcome that. So
at that stage, the tie is where we were at. After last Thursday, we have a 2-goal advantage.
You were all right.
Greg Taylor then picks up an injury. I think he went down about 3 or 4 times before eventually his game was up.
I know.
Adam Montgomery comes on. I thought he had a great game. Aye. I'm sure we will come on to that later on in this video. If we don't, then, I'm sorry. We'll talk about it at some stage. But they scored their second goal. Carl Starfelt's looking at Joe Hart with that mistake, and he's going, I can top you, mate. I can top you. The ball comes in. He sees it the whole way. He's not even getting anyone right in front of him who's putting pressure on him. And I can only think that he just completely misjudges it. A simple clearance, 99 times out of 100, and somehow he sclaffs it into the back of the net off the back of his foot. And at that stage, I think we all kind of came to terms with our exit from the Europa League.
110%. You're right. I mean, at first I thought he was just caught surprised by the fact that it went above Welsh and whoever Welsh was marking at the time. I wasn't sure if he saw all the way. You saw clearly from the replays that Starfelt did manage to get full sight of the ball, and it's an incredible error for a player at this level. It's not what he needs just now, to be honest, Hamish, considering his start. We had a chat about Starfelt last week, and I did go in on him a bit. I wasn't pleased with how he performed, particularly with the ball at his feet. I thought he did all right in that sense under pressure tonight. I thought he could have, put it this way, and this might be a funny way to say it, I thought he could have made a lot more mistakes considering the pressure Alkmaar were putting him under. This is why I'm saying that these players did well to overcome the errors in the first half, because I think Alkmaar were putting on such an intense press, high intensity press, that it could have led to a lot more errors, a lot more clear and obvious errors. There were disappointing turnovers, which I think, as I say, largely came from the non-existent midfield.
Yeah.
But defensively, that could have been a lot worse, and I don't think their efforts will be appreciated the way it should. Starfelt included. I thought he came in the second half, and he was superb in the final 10 minutes, by the way. If you go back and watch that back, he made some terrific clearances.
It was probably a bit prior to the last 10 minutes, but he had one tackle in the second half that was absolutely excellent, and he did a lot of heading away, as did Welsh. I don't think those two lost a header in the final 20 minutes of that game. It gets to half time, you're kind of thinking, right, okay, it's not going to plan, but we're still ahead in the tie. Let's just relax here, regroup. Let's come out second half, firing in all cylinders. Second half, we start probably even more poorly than we were in the first half. I was just thinking the third AZ goal was in the post at that stage. It just seemed to be getting into so many areas. And looking back, that 15 minutes from 45 to 60, I think, was the crucial part that we didn't concede at that stage.
Yeah, in other words, it was a brutal 15 minutes. I mean, in fact, you looked up at the screen 5 seconds into the half, and they've got a 1v1 against Montgomery down the line. You're like, what's going on here? But they did manage to ride that out. That's what I thought Alkmaar tried to really get after us the 15 minutes after the start of the second half, because they were really intensifying that press. They were getting 4 or 5 bodies around us. They just weren't letting us out. We could also have done better. I thought midfield's control of the ball was terrible tonight. They weren't clicking at all. I don't know what it is when you go away from home in Europe. It just becomes a lot more difficult.
It's weird. I mean, I made this point with John on Sunday. It's all well and good, doing your fancy wee flexing, Turnbull putting it round the corner at home to St Mirren and Dundee and Hearts. But see, when you go away from home and you've not got any Celtic fans there, and I honestly think that makes a major difference. And we've got to remember the fact that Celtic have gone through tonight, going to a stadium that had no Celtic fans at all. I think that adds to the whole, the achievement tonight. But see, doing it away from home when good players are pressing you, it's a very different thing. But I honestly think that this team will improve from that. I mean, we remember how good Rodgers' team were in the Invincible season. I remember Rodgers' team going to many an away game that season and looking like that. So, it's not confined to this Celtic team. And I just really hope that, I hope they're all in that dressing room right now going, we can do this. We weren't great tonight, we were poor tonight, and we've still gone through.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've come out of that game, all right, you're wondering a bit how you've gotten through it. And there will be, I'd imagine Ange Postecoglou, he didn't celebrate at full time. I noticed that. He was more or less down the tunnel. He didn't look too pleased, and he'll be letting them know what he was disappointed in tonight. But he'll round it off by telling them, but at the end of the day, you've come to the Netherlands and you've knocked out the third best team in Holland without playing at your peak level, without an efficient midfield. It's a really impressive result. I don't think it'll be as appreciated as it should be, and I do think for belief, it's huge going into the group stages, because you're going to play teams worse than that in the group stage. I think so anyway.
100%.
Hopefully,
you'll probably get one that's better and maybe 2 that are poorer. I honestly believe that.
Yeah, and you can compete against them, and that's good to know, and we can get results against them too. So it's a good night's work, Hamish. There's been some. All right, there's been some comedic moments in the match for neutrals and for rival fans, but we were the ones smiling at the end, and that's all that matters tonight.
I thought we looked so much better when Edward came on in the hour mark. I said, yesterday at that video from Celtic Park that I felt we'd been more of a threat with Kyogo in behind, and I think to an extent that was proven correct, because obviously Kyogo scores the goal really early. But I just thought as the game went on, nothing against Kyogo, but I just felt we needed a player who was willing to come short and hold the ball in, and Edward had a couple of really good moments when he did that. I mean, we just need to chat about that miss from the 17-year-old Poku, the Alkmaar player. I haven't seen a replay. I've seen a couple of replays, and I still can't see how he managed to miss that. It was a remarkable miss. Yeah,
I initially thought the through ball was offside. The one that got them in behind, I'm not sure if it was.
I thought that at first, but I rewatched it. I think Welsh is playing the guy onside.
Fair dues, but anyway, that happens. They go in behind, and it's a perfect ball across face of goal, and you just expect the way to bury it. And that's where football can fall down one side of the line, or it can fall down the other side. Once on one side he scores the goal and he knocks us out, and we're all angry with the defender. And the other side, he misses it. We end up going through, and we're talking about progress. That's just the fine margins in football. And we had an absolute sitter at Parkhead ourselves when Edward and Montgomery couldn't squeeze it over the line in the first leg, and that would have put us out of sight. So, when you get your chances, you've got to take them, and we've taken more of our chances than Alkmaar, so no sympathy for them whatsoever.
I just think Kyogo, once again, we've spoken in the channel about the stuff he's had to put up with and the stuff that's been on his mind, no doubt, over the last few days. You're looking at another tie that Kyogo is effectively won for us with his goals. The big goal tonight that's seen us through, the huge goal last week. I just think the guy is an absolute star. But it's the obvious thing is to talk about Kyogo, so we'll leave it for now and hope that we're chatting about him a lot. And Sunday's reaction, who are you wanting to chat about? Who do you want to pick out for special praise tonight?
Special praise. I've already touched on the back line, so I won't go back into it. I've already mentioned Lila Bada, but I think I'll bring in Lila Bada again. I also think it's not just his dynamism on the counter or when he gets in behind. He can actually hold the ball up quite surprisingly well for such a. He really does. In previous games, he's sort of faded out in the second half a lot of the time. To be honest, definitely the final half hour of games, but tonight, I thought he was on it for the full 90. He was doing a power of work down that right side. He was superb. He was dropping deep to try and alleviate some pressure. Not everything came off for him. He was often totally crowded by AZ players. I don't think he got a lot of help tonight for the midfield at times. But for me, I'll highlight Abada for his performance as well as the back four for how they performed. And if we're going to leave Kyogo, I'll leave Kyogo. He was superb, absolutely superb. Not just when he was playing centre forward either, by the way. When he moved out to the left, he's such an asset. There's one moment where we played a lovely little counter-attacking move, and Christie's played a brilliant 1-2 with somebody in the box.
Yeah,
the ball was on Furuhashi, and if he plays that ball through, he's got all the time in the world to stick it in the back of the net. Christie does his usual. He goes for the shot, and it goes off target, and that was disappointing at the time. So some better decision-making, I think, is still an area of improvement in the final third. But there's so many positives to take tonight, Hamish.
Right, I want to pick out Adam Montgomery, because I just thought, what is that guy? I think he's just turned 19 years old. To put in that kind of performance in such a hostile venue, being thrown in after however many minutes for Greg Taylor. Now, I know it wasn't Montgomery's debut. We're not chatting about a David Marshall in the Nou Camp type performance, but I thought he was absolutely excellent, both defensively, but even more so in possession. I actually thought he looked far more composed in possession than a lot more senior players in that Celtic team. I'm not going to name them because it's not a night, as you say, for picking out players that maybe underperformed, but I thought Montgomery was absolutely excellent. He likes to get stuck in, he uses his body well as well, and he's really good in tight areas. You can see why he's been viewed as a player that can play further up the pitch as well. Who knows what the situation is with Greg Taylor and whether Montgomery's asked to play again on Sunday, but I tell you something, I'm not as concerned now about the prospect of him playing on Sunday as I would have been prior to tonight. In fact, I don't know if there's a huge difference between him and Greg Taylor at the moment in terms of what they offer you.
I mean, I've always said we need an upgrade at left back anyway, and I won't go into that again. I hope we do find one before the window shuts. Don't know if that'll be the case outside of Liam Scales coming in. But Montgomery, if we're going to touch on the back line again, incredible. I mean, again, I think he came on for the closing stages in the home leg and he coped well. You're thinking to yourself, fair play, son, that's a decent performance for the final 10, 15 minutes, whatever he was on for. Tonight, he was up against it, man. And especially considering who was the attacking right back, the Japanese international for Alkmaar. What's
Sagawara.
His name? Sagawara. Caught him out twice, actually, in the first 10 or 15 minutes or so after he came on. And I was thinking to myself at that point, this might just be a step too far for Montgomery.
He was really quiet in the second half, Sagawara, and he's probably, I'd say, maybe their best player. I was really impressed with him over the two legs.
Yeah, he put in some good performances. That's what I was just about to say. Montgomery just started switching on to it. I thought he was actually dropping deeper for some of these long diagonals. I thought he was keeping his eye on Sagawara and I think it's Sabakal or whoever the attacking right winger was. They were both trying to get in behind him. And it was exploited early on, but he managed to adapt to that so well. And again, that atmosphere tonight might have been pretty deceiving on TV. I'm sure it seemed pretty hostile,
Listen, they
towards
were
the
up for
players.
it. They
And
had flares and stuff welcoming their team bus into the
yeah,
game today. They were proper up for it. We sometimes talk down Celtic, but we've got to remember, even for a team like Alkmaar, we're still a major name in Europe, and they would be thinking tonight, let's go and put Celtic out of the Europa League. They were up for it. Their fans were up for it. And their team were massively up for it. And it's good you raised the point about them having the week off last week, because they looked much fitter than us, I thought, at stages tonight. But again, we got the job done.
yeah, and just back to Montgomery. He managed to go through all of that. He managed to come through it all, and he's managed to probably make a lot of Celtic fans think, do we need an upgrade at left back, or do we need to give this boy more minutes alongside Taylor? Because if you're going to develop a player, he needs game time. I don't mind if we don't upgrade and we think and we look to put some faith in Montgomery. Bearing in mind he will make mistakes at some stage. Not every performance will be like tonight. But if Celtic want to go down that route, then I won't complain about it. It's just a great night for the football club. I hope supporters aren't too deflated by the mistakes and the fact we lost on the night. Losing on the night's never nice. You're a Celtic fan. You expect your team to win every 90 minutes they play. But in terms of the massive improvement between now and last season, we would never have come out this tie last season and gotten through. Never in a million years. So it's a great night for the club, great night for the character. And seeing Postecoglou go off, sort of shaking his head at some of the things he saw, I think such a promising sign too. He's a perfectionist. He's going to constantly strive for improvement. And even then, we've knocked out a top Eredivisie side. I'm so pleased for the team tonight, and I can't wait for Sunday because I think we're primed for another big result.
There we go. David's nailed his colours to the mast. Are we deflated, folks? Let me know. Do you feel deflated, or do you feel something else? Because I certainly feel something else.
See, after the second goal went in, I was watching my dad, and I turned to my dad after the second goal and said, I would love to get out of the Netherlands with a draw or a win, to be honest, to keep the momentum up. I was thinking to myself, if we actually lose the game, I'll come out feeling a bit deflated. Couldn't be any further for the truth when that final whistle blew. I'm so buzzing. It absolutely is. So I've not seen a lot of the supporter reaction just yet. I'll have a wee look after the video, but hopefully everyone is quite positive after that. It's such a good night for the football club. It's a real morale booster for us.
There's a couple of relieveds coming in from Paul and Scott.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Your real name. It's Scott spelt with a K. But yes, right. AZ Alkmaar into the Conference League. Enjoy that, lads. We'll go and deal with the Europa League group stage. The draw for which is tomorrow, I believe, at 12 CEST. I think that's Central Time, meaning maybe 11 here. Don't hold me in that, but I think we're looking at about an 11. Probably by the time UEFA do all their procedures, we'll be talking about 4:30 on Wednesday. But pot 1 teams. This isn't really confirmed because I think we're still some games in extra time and stuff like that. But confirmed in pot 1 so far, you're talking Lyon, Moussa Dembele, obviously, Napoli, Bayer Leverkusen, Dinamo Zagreb, Lazio, Olympiacos, and AS Monaco.
That's just a Champions League pot, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
more or less. That's just a group of Champions League teams that's been bundled in.
Braga potentially as well, though they could be pot 2. Slavia Prague, I don't know, they're playing Legia Warsaw at the moment. I don't know what the situation is there. Right. We're guaranteed, everyone, listen to this bit, we're guaranteed to be pot 2 in tomorrow's draw. So we've got that to look forward to. The teams, I won't read pot 2 because we can't draw them, so that'd be a bit pointless. Pot 3, Marseille, Ludogorets, West Ham United, Real Sociedad, Real Betis, Fenerbahce or Spartak Moscow. Pot 4, to be honest, quite difficult as well. You're talking the likes of Rapid Vienna, Galatasaray, Midtjylland. Love a bit of revenge against them. Ferencvaros, I'd love a bit of revenge against them. Brondby, and then possibly Sturm Graz or Antwerp or something like that.
So I know you said you were missing out pot 2, but I'd quite like to know who we're avoiding then.
So we're avoiding Eintracht Frankfurt,
right?
Red Star Belgrade, Leicester City, obviously Rangers, Lokomotiv Moscow and Genk.
Right. So there's a couple you would have taken there, actually, compared to some of them in the lower pots.
Who's our dream team we want? I'd quite like Moussa Dembele to come back, and I feel like Leon would give us a bit of glamour, but also how seriously are they going to take that? I don't know if you agree, David. It feels maybe slightly weaker than previous years. Maybe
Yeah,
because Spurs
what?
and Roma
Aye.
and some other teams have gone into the Conference League, but
I mean, we know better than to underestimate anyone, but you're right. I mean, normally you see some bigger names there. You're wanting Leon. Is that what you said there? You want Leon to come back?
Bayer Leverkusen, Zagreb would be decent from the top pot, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather whatever the most winnable ties are. I've always been of that sort of mindset. I'd take games that appear the most winnable on paper.
Midtjylland would be good. I'd like a bit of revenge against
I
them.
think we'd fancy that, wouldn't we? We would fancy a go at Midtjylland. Ferencvaros as well. You'd fancy some points against them. But just enjoy the draw tomorrow and see who we get. We've fully earned our place here. I think we belong with a lot of those clubs in this draw. I think it's a level at the minute. I think the Conference League, with all due respect, is below us. I'll be honest, Hamish. So,
Don't say that until February when we fire in there to win it.
all right. What can we go into that from the
If we
Europa
finish
groups?
third in our Europa League group, we fire in there. So we've got that to look forward to. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. Stephen, your message is gone, but yes, we'll be on tomorrow after the draw for a live reaction. I believe Ewan is going to join me. We've got so much more coming on the channel. We've got a live draw tomorrow, as I say, a reaction tomorrow. We've got a huge, like, gonna break internet type preview. Huge video coming out on Saturday ahead of the Rangers game, and of course we'll have reaction from the game at Ibrox as well on Sunday. So much happening. If you've just come across the channel, please subscribe. Please tell a friend about us, preferably a Celtic supporting one. Listen, I'm going to go and read all the forums and read Twitter and really enjoy my night. It wasn't pretty tonight. It really wasn't. But after all the heartache we've had over the last 18 months, enjoy tonight. We've qualified for the Europa League group stage against a good side. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks David for your time. Everyone, take care and we'll speak to you soon.